Look, I need everybody to lock in for a second, because what I'm about to tell you ain't theory, it's life, it's experience, it's every late night, every missed shot, every time you looked in the mirror and asked yourself, is this even worth it? And the truth is, if you really want to win, if you're really chasing something bigger than comfort, bigger than ego, bigger than people's opinions, then failure ain't the enemy. Failure is the tuition you pay for greatness. Winners, they don't get crowned because they avoided losses. Winners get crowned because they survived losses, 1,000 of them, and kept going. That's why I always said the marathon continues, because success don't hit overnight. It's built failure by failure, lesson by lesson, day by day. So tonight, I want to break this down into 5 real keys, 5 truths every winner had to learn before they ever touched success. And if you take these in, not just hear them, but apply them, I promise you'll see your journey differently. Failure ain't the end of your story. It's the classroom where you learn how to write the next chapter. And once you really understand that, everything about how you move, how you think, how you respond to setbacks, it all shifts. See, most people treat failure like a full stop. They think when something goes wrong, when a plan falls apart, when a door closes, life is telling them, this isn't for you. But winners, the ones who actually make it out, the ones who build something real, they hear a different message. They hear, pay attention. There's something here you ain't mastered yet. And that's the difference between people who quit and people who grow. Think about Michael Jordan. They cut him from his high school basketball team. That's every kid's nightmare, to walk home feeling like your dream just got snatched away before it even started. Most people would have taken that moment and let it define them. They would have told themselves, maybe I'm just not good enough. But MJ didn't fold. He didn't let that one no take his whole future hostage. Instead, he locked in. He took that pain, not the kind that makes you break, but the kind that makes you hungry. And he used it as fuel. He showed up earlier. He worked harder. He sharpened every skill he had until the world had no choice but to acknowledge him. That's the kind of relationship winners have with failure. Not fear, not shame, but transformation. And this ain't just emotional talk. The science backs it up. Stanford ran a study that showed people who see failure as information, not identity, outperform everybody else by nearly 50%. Think about that. The gap between average and elite ain't talent, it ain't luck. It's mindset. It's the ability to look at a mistake and say, this isn't who I am, it's something I can learn from. Those people adapt, they adjust, they pivot, they evolve. And evolution is where greatness is born. See, winners don't run from pain, they interpret it correctly. They understand that every L carries a lesson inside it. Every time life knocks them on the floor, it's showing them something they couldn't see while standing up. That heartbreak, it taught you standards. That business that failed, it taught you structure. That friend who switched up, they taught you how to value loyalty. Every setback is a message, but most people never translate it. They get so caught up in the emotion of the moment that they miss the information inside it. But when you treat every failure like data, the game changes. Instead of asking, why me? You start asking, what is this trying to teach me? Instead of getting stuck, you start moving smarter. Every mistake becomes a blueprint. Every fall becomes a strategy session. You stop letting the moment define you, and you start using the moment to refine you. And once you rewire your mindset like that, once you really understand that failure is just feedback, you stop being scared. You stop playing small. You stop holding back because you're worried about what people will say if you mess up. You realize nobody who ever built anything legendary did it without falling first. You realize nobody claps for you on step 1. You realize progress is messy, growth is uncomfortable, and success is nothing but the result of surviving a long list of failures that most people couldn't handle. When you stop fearing failure and start studying it, you become dangerous. You start taking risks. You start stepping into rooms you once thought you didn't belong in. You start trying new ideas, starting new projects, leveling up your skills, because you know even if you fall, you're not going backward. You're gathering data. You're gathering wisdom. You're gathering the tools you need for the next move. Every great person you look up to went through this. Oprah got fired. Walt Disney was told he lacked imagination. Steve Jobs got kicked out of the very company he created. These people weren't special because they avoided failure. They were special because they interpreted failure differently. They didn't internalize it. They didn't wear it. They didn't let it make them bitter or ashamed. They let it make them better. And the truth is, life ain't trying to stop you. Life is trying to shape you. Life is trying to prepare you for the version of success you prayed for. But preparation don't look pretty. It looks like missteps. It looks like rejections. It looks like doors slamming, plans collapsing, people doubting, seasons changing. But if you stay awake during those moments, if you pay attention to what each failure is trying to show you, you'll start building a strength, a clarity, a resilience that nobody can take from you. And that's what failure is really giving you: clarity. Clarity about your weaknesses, clarity about your gifts, clarity about what you need to fix, what you need to let go of, what you need to improve, and what you need to double down on. Failure is the mirror that doesn't lie, the one that shows you who you are without filters, without excuses, without ego. So when failure hits, don't run, don't hide, don't shut down, lean in, ask questions, study the moment, use it, because every person who made it to the top can trace their success back to a moment that looked like a breakdown but was actually a breakthrough. They didn't give up when things got hard, they got smarter, and that's the real key. Winners ain't people who never fall. Winners are the ones who refuse to stay down. They're the ones who understand that failure is not a sign to quit. It's a sign to recalibrate. It's a sign to tighten the vision. It's a sign to evolve your approach. It's life telling you you're close. Keep going, because once you stop fearing failure, you start learning from it. And once you start learning from it, you stop losing. You just keep leveling up. The truth is, nobody tells you how lonely the climb really is. They talk about success, they talk about vision, they talk about staying motivated, but they leave out the part where you spend nights questioning yourself, walking roads nobody else understands, holding on to dreams that feel heavier than anything you've ever carried. And that's why a lot of people quit. Not because they don't have the talent, not because they don't have the heart, but because they weren't prepared for the silence, the distance, the isolation that comes with chasing something bigger than the environment you grew up in. When you start failing repeatedly, people fall off in ways you never expected. Some will lose faith in you because they only believed in the version of you that played it safe. Some will laugh because your ambition makes them uncomfortable. Some will distance themselves not because you did anything wrong, but because they can't see your vision anymore. And here's the truth nobody wants to admit. Most people can only understand dreams that already look successful. They don't believe in the foundations. They believe in the finished product. And that's why isolation hurts the way it does. It forces you to see who's really with you and who was only around because it was convenient or familiar. But what you gotta understand is this isolation isn't a punishment. It's a necessary phase. You cannot build something legendary surrounded by people who think small. You can't create a new life with voices around you that echo the old one. When you're trying to elevate, noise becomes a distraction, comfort becomes a trap. Familiar people become limits without meaning to. The road to success narrows the higher you climb, and not everybody can walk with you at that altitude. Look at Nipsey. Long before the world called him brilliant, long before he got the respect he deserved, he was hustling mixtapes out the trunk. No radio play, no mainstream push, no big label backing. People judged him, doubted him, dismissed him because they couldn't see past the stage he was in. They didn't understand that silence and obscurity are where greatness gets built. Nipsey didn't get applause during the grind. He didn't get validation during the foundation. The world only clapped once the work was finished, once the vision came together, once the marathon had already been run. That's how it works for everybody. The applause comes last. The doubt comes first. Harvard Business Review studied hundreds of successful entrepreneurs and found that 72% of them went through seasons where nobody believed in them. Not their friends, not their family, not their coworkers. They had ideas people laughed at, plans people said were impossible, goals people told them to abandon. But those entrepreneurs kept pushing through that empty space where support used to exist. They kept working through the quiet. They kept showing up even when nobody was watching, nobody was cheering, and nobody was helping. And that's the part people forget. Success don't grow in crowds. It grows in solitude. In those hours when it's just you, your thoughts, your doubts, your grind, and your commitment, it grows in those moments when you're tempted to walk away, but instead you say, nah, I didn't come this far to quit. It grows when you keep going without needing attention or recognition to fuel you. The lonely part of the journey is where you build the version of yourself that can handle what you're praying for. The solitude forces you to develop resilience. It forces you to depend on your own energy, your own discipline, your own belief. It forces you to find out if you really want what you say you want, or if you were only chasing it because the crowd clapped for you. Isolation strips away the noise until all that's left is your raw purpose. And listen, if you're in that lonely phase right now, if it feels like people don't understand you anymore or you're outgrowing the conversations around you, if you feel the distance growing between you and the world you thought you needed, that's not a sign that you're going the wrong way. That's the confirmation that you're walking the right one. Growth demands separation. Elevation demands isolation. You cannot take everyone with you, and you are not supposed to. Think about a rocket. When it leaves the ground, everything looks connected. The boosters, the fuel tanks, the support structures. But at a certain altitude, the rocket has to detach the pieces that helped it launch because those same pieces would hold it back from reaching space. The rocket ain't broken. It ain't failing, it's just growing, and growth means letting go of what can't survive at the next level. That's how your journey works. People, habits, environments, some of them are boosters. They help you rise at the beginning, they get you off the ground. But they can't go with you into your next chapter. And when they fall away, you'll feel it. You'll feel the distance. You'll feel the loneliness. But you gotta understand that it's not abandonment, it's alignment. You're moving into a space that requires a different you. Even the greatest leaders had to walk that road alone. Elon Musk sleeping on factory floors when people told him Tesla would fail. J.K. Rowling homeless and rejected before Harry Potter changed the world. The founders of Airbnb getting turned down 100 times before investors took them seriously. These people weren't surrounded by cheerleaders. They were surrounded by silence. And they had to create their own belief until the world caught up. And that's what you gotta do. You gotta hold the vision when it's blurry. You gotta believe when it's lonely. You gotta keep building when nothing around you is clapping or validating the grind. Because the lonely chapters are where you build the discipline that makes success possible. The lonely chapters are where you toughen your skin, sharpen your mindset, and deepen your purpose. The lonely chapters are where you separate yourself from the ones who quit. And one day, when the work pays off, when the dream becomes real, when the marathon turns into a victory lap, the same people who couldn't see your vision will swear they believed in you the whole time. But you'll know the truth. It wasn't their belief that carried you. It was your own. So if you're walking alone right now, don't let that scare you. Don't let it make you doubt your direction. If anything, take it as a sign, not that you're off the path, but that you're finally on it. The loneliness isn't a setback. It's the doorway, the rite of passage, the space every champion had to pass through before the world called them great. Keep going. The silence is shaping you. The isolation is preparing you. The world will clap later. But right now, the work needs you more than the applause ever will. Long-term vision is the difference between people who burn out early and people who finish strong. It's the difference between someone who gets excited for a week and someone who stays committed for a decade. See, winners don't think in days or weeks. They think in years. They think in seasons. They think about legacy. They understand that what they're building ain't supposed to pop overnight. It's supposed to grow slow, steady, and solid like concrete setting beneath a skyscraper. It looks boring. It looks quiet. It looks like nothing is happening. But if you stop now, you'll never see how powerful those small efforts really were. There's a reason Nipsey called it a marathon. He wasn't just talking about the music industry. He was talking about life. He was talking about the mentality you need if you want to see your dreams through. Because a sprint will burn you out. A sprint is hype, adrenaline, short-lived bursts of energy. But a marathon is focus, it's pacing, it's endurance, it's understanding that small daily actions compound into something massive. And most people underestimate the power of small steps. They want big jumps, they want overnight results, they want applause after 1 week of effort. But life don't work like that, growth don't work like that. Look at Amazon. Everybody sees the trillion-dollar empire today, but they forget Jeff Bezos didn't turn a profit for 7 years. 7 years of losses, 7 years of criticism, 7 years of being clowned by investors, the media, and competitors. People called the company a failure. They called it a joke. They said online shopping would never replace brick and mortar stores. They doubted the vision because the results weren't showing instantly. But that's because the seed was underground. The tree was growing roots. The foundation was getting built long before the branches ever reached the light. That's what long-term vision really looks like, believing in something before the world can see it. And if you think about it, that's the same way real success grows in your own life. You hit the gym for a week, no change. You study a new skill for a month, you still feel clueless. You save money for 6 months, you barely see a difference. But keep going for a year, 2 years, 5 years, and everything transforms because success compounds. Every rep stacking, every hour building, every sacrifice adding up. That's the part most people never experience because they quit before the compounding kicks in. The truth is, your vision protects your energy. It gives you something deeper than motivation. Motivation fades. Vision doesn't. Vision is what wakes you up when the excitement is gone. Vision keeps you focused when nobody is clapping. Vision keeps you disciplined when distractions start shouting louder than your purpose. When you know where you're going, the bumps on the road stop feeling like roadblocks and start feeling like part of the course. Every detour starts making sense. Every delay feels like preparation. Every challenge becomes a teacher. Look at any winner, any leader, any person who built something meaningful. They all had a long-term mindset. They weren't obsessed with how things looked right now. They were obsessed with where things were going. And because they kept their eyes on the future, the struggles in the present didn't break them. They shaped them. Your vision becomes your anchor in the storm. Life is going to test you. Life is going to send situations you never planned for, losses that hit deeper than expected, setbacks that make you question your path. But if your vision is strong, you'll stay rooted. You'll bend, but you won't break. You'll adjust, but you won't abandon the mission. Without vision, failure crushes you. With vision, failure coaches you. And let's be real, most people don't lose because they're incapable. They lose because they think short term. They want everything now. They measure success by how things look today instead of where things could be in 5 years. And when things get hard, when the results don't show immediately, they convince themselves it's not working. They quit right before the compounding was about to kick in. But you gotta see further. You gotta train your mind to think in long horizons. You gotta look past the moment and picture the outcome. You gotta remind yourself that the seeds you water today won't bloom tomorrow, but they will bloom. You gotta trust the process even when the progress is invisible. Every empire started with a blueprint. Every masterpiece started with a sketch. Every legacy started with a decision. Long-term vision is the difference between building something that lasts and chasing something temporary. It's the difference between purpose and impulse. It's the difference between the ones who sprint and collapse and the ones who pace themselves and finish strong. Success is compounding. Every hour you grind is building interest. Every failure is adding wisdom. Every small victory is stacking momentum. Every tough day is strengthening your character. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is useless. Everything is part of the build. And that's why you need a long-term vision, something bigger than the moment, something deeper than the struggle, something more powerful than the doubt. A vision that keeps you steady when life tries to shake you. A vision that reminds you who you are and what you're working toward. A vision that carries you through the days where the world feels heavy. Because once you know where you're going, the journey gets quieter but clearer. You stop rushing, you stop comparing, you stop craving shortcuts, you stop needing validation. You start moving with intention, discipline, and patience. You start trusting that what you do consistently will pay off eventually. And one day, after years of putting in work that nobody saw, you'll look up and realize everything you dreamed of is finally unfolding. And it won't feel like luck, it won't feel like chance, it'll feel earned. It'll feel deserved. It'll feel like destiny meeting preparation. That's the power of long-term vision. It turns struggle into strategy, setbacks into stepping stones, and time into your greatest asset. And once you understand that, once you commit to the marathon mindset, there's nothing in this world that can stop you. Anybody can wake up feeling inspired. Anybody can scroll through a motivational video, catch a spark, and tell themselves today is the day everything changes. But that feeling, that fire, that rush, it fades. It always fades. That's why hype will never build a life you want. Hype is loud in the moment and silent when it matters. Hype pushes you for a day. Habits carry you for a lifetime. Winners understand that. They know that the real game is played on the days where you're tired, uninspired, drained, discouraged, and nobody's watching. When the excitement is gone and all you've got is discipline, that's when champions are made. Look at Kobe Bryant. The stories are legendary for a reason. This man practiced at 4 a.m. for years, not for attention, not because he had a crowd cheering him on, and definitely not because he felt hyped every morning. He did it because the discipline was built into him like a heartbeat. He understood something most people never grasp. Motivation gets you started, but habit keeps you in the race. Kobe wasn't addicted to hype, he was addicted to consistency. He knew the small things you do repeatedly become the big things people admire later, and science backs this up. Duke University ran studies showing that over 40% of what you do every single day comes from habits, not choices, not intentions, not goals, Meaning almost half your life is controlled by what you've trained your mind and body to do automatically. So if your habits aren't aligned with your dreams, your default settings will sabotage your future without you even realizing it. You can have the best goals in the world, but if your daily routine doesn't support them, you'll always fall short. That's why winners don't chase emotional highs. They chase structure, they chase rhythm. They chase systems that make success the natural outcome of who they are, not something they chase only when they feel inspired. They understand that winning isn't emotional, it's mechanical, it's math. It's action multiplied by consistency, multiplied by time. It's doing the right thing again and again until it becomes second nature. Most people treat success like a mood. They wait until they feel like working. They wait until they feel confident. They wait until life gets easier. But life doesn't care about your feelings. It responds to your habits. Winners get that. They don't negotiate with themselves. They don't argue with their discipline. They don't let their emotions make decisions their goals should be making. They move automatically because they train themselves to operate that way. Think about it. Brushing your teeth isn't exciting, but you do it because you've built a habit. Eating meals at regular times, habit. Locking your front door, habit. Imagine if grinding, practicing your craft, reading, building your business, saving money, or hitting the gym became as automatic as brushing your teeth. Imagine if discipline wasn't a battle but a baseline. That's the level winners operate on, and the truth is, every person who ever achieved mastery in any field had one thing in common: consistency. They didn't just do the work when they were inspired. They did the work when they were exhausted, when they were stressed, when life wasn't fair, when nobody believed in them. The habit carried them through the dark days until the light returned. Look at Michael Phelps. He trained every day for 5 years without missing a single session. Not one, not even on Christmas. That kind of routine feels extreme to most people, but that's why he's a world record holder and most people aren't. Winners build high-level habits because they understand something deep. Your future is hidden inside your daily routine. You can look at someone's habits and predict their destiny. Wake up late every day, scroll for hours, procrastinate, skip your goals. Your life will reflect that. Wake up with intention, move with discipline, protect your time. Your life will reflect that too. Success doesn't choose favorites, it responds to patterns. But here's the real truth. Building habits is hard at the start. It's boring, it's repetitive, it's lonely, it feels like nothing is happening. But something is happening. Your identity is changing. Every time you follow through, you're proving to yourself that you're capable. Every time you show up, even when you don't want to, you're telling your mind, this is who we are now. And once your identity shifts, the habits become easier to maintain. Winners don't just build habits, they build self-trust. They build a reputation with themselves. They become the type of person who does what they say, even when nobody holds them accountable. That self-trust becomes the fuel that pushes them further than hype ever could. And once your habits start aligning, something powerful happens. Consistency compounds into mastery. You don't see it every day, you don't feel it every day, but over months and years, it transforms you the same way water cuts through rock or interest grows in your bank account. Slow, steady, unstoppable. That's how winners rise, not through explosions of motivation, but through rhythms of discipline. Some days you'll be tired, some days you'll be overwhelmed, some days you'll want to quit. But when you've built habits, you don't depend on feelings, you depend on systems, you depend on structure, you depend on the version of you that decided you were meant for more, and that version of you pushes the tired, unmotivated version across the finish line every time. The secret to winning ain't hype. It's what you repeatedly do when the hype disappears. It's the early mornings, the late nights, the routines nobody applauds. It's the effort you put in long before anyone sees the results. And that's the truth most people miss. Greatness is built in repetition. Mastery is built in routine. Success is built in the habits you choose every day. Because once your habits change, your results change. And once your results change, your whole life changes. That's why winners build habits, not hype. The hype fades, the discipline lasts. The marathon continues. When you really sit back and look at the people who made it, the icons, the leaders, the innovators, the ones whose names echo long after they're gone, you'll notice something they all share. Not money, not connections, not luck. It's scars, it's setbacks. It's the 1,000 times they fell while everybody else was watching, laughing, doubting, or walking away, and they kept showing up anyway. That's why their success hits different, because it wasn't handed to them. It was earned through a process that most people don't have the heart to survive. See, when you fail over and over again, something shifts inside you. You start understanding what most people never learn. Failure is part of the grind, is part of the blueprint. It's not rejection, it's refinement. It's not punishment, it's preparation. Every time you hit the ground and stand back up, you're becoming someone stronger, someone sharper, someone more aligned with the future you're building. The world tries to make failure look like weakness, but the truth is, failure builds the kind of strength hype could never give you. Look at Thomas Edison. 10,000 attempts, 10,000 ways the world could have said, "Man, let it go. Stop embarrassing yourself." But he didn't, because he understood the marathon. He understood that every attempt wasn't him losing, it was him learning. And when the light bulb finally came on, it wasn't just the invention that mattered. It was the journey, the resilience, the endurance, the proof that you can't rush greatness, and you damn sure can't discourage a man who refuses to quit. And that's what a lot of people don't talk about. Every failure you survive makes your success more respected, because people see what it took. They see what you overcame, the storms you walked through, the pressure you handled, the times you had to pick yourself up without applause, without support, without understanding from the people around you. When you finally make it, the world sees the win, but you see the nights you cried, the days you doubted yourself, the moments you nearly folded. That contrast, that's what makes success feel spiritual, because it becomes more than money, more than status. It becomes a reflection of who you had to become to earn it. Think about Nipsey's journey. Bro was independent for years, sold mixtapes out the trunk, watched other artists get deals, get radio play, get their moment while he was still grinding in the background. But he stayed solid, he stayed patient, he made peace with the process. That's why when Victory Lap finally dropped, it didn't just sound good, it meant something. It represented discipline, faith, resilience, and 1,000 moments of uncertainty that he fought through. His success carried weight because it was built brick by brick, failure by failure, lesson by lesson. That's what you're doing right now, even if you don't see it yet. Every setback is shaping you. Every mistake is teaching you something the easy path could never teach. You're developing patience. You're learning how to adapt when things don't go your way. You're learning how to keep going without validation. You're learning how to depend on yourself, how to trust your vision, how to stay committed even when the path gets dark. And look, everybody loves the idea of winning. Everybody loves the highlight reel. But if you show them the losses, the late nights, the doubt, the stress, the sacrifices, they don't want that part. They want the shine without the grind. They want the victory without the war. But real winners, they build character through adversity. They build wisdom through mistakes. They build confidence through consistency. They don't just wake up successful, they become successful through a process most people run from. Think about the greatest stories in human history. They all sound the same. Someone tried, failed, tried again, failed again, kept going anyway, and then broke through. That's the pattern, that's the formula, that's the universal truth that connects every champion, every legend, every innovator. Success isn't a straight line, it's a loop of trial and error, struggle and progress, frustration and growth. And the crazy part is, every time you fail, you're actually getting closer. It feels like you're losing ground, but you're gaining experience, you're gaining clarity, you're figuring out what works and what doesn't. You're eliminating weak spots, bad habits, unrealistic expectations, and shortcuts that would have cost you more down the line. You're sharpening your mind, you're developing discipline, you're building the kind of internal foundation that success demands. That's why failure makes your success more valuable, because you understand the cost, you understand what it took, you understand the sacrifices behind the scenes that nobody saw. So when you finally stand on that mountain you've been climbing, whether it's in business, fitness, relationships, personal development, your victory feels deeper. It feels earned. It feels like something no one can take from you. You ever notice how people respect the ones who didn't fold? Look at someone like Oprah, fired from her first job on TV because they said she wasn't fit for television. Imagine if she believed that. Imagine if she let that failure shape her identity. Instead, she turned that rejection into her fuel. And today, that same industry that tried to push her out celebrates her as one of the greatest media icons alive. It's the same with Elon Musk sleeping on production floors, Walt Disney getting told he had no creativity, J.K. Rowling getting rejected by 12 publishers, Colonel Sanders getting rejected over 1,000 times before someone believed in his recipe. These people didn't win because they were special. They won because they survived more failure than most people are willing to face. Every time you get back up, you prove something to yourself. You prove that you're built for the long game. You prove that you're not emotionally fragile. You prove that your purpose is bigger than temporary disappointment. You prove that you're serious about the life you say you want. And trust me, when your success finally hits, it'll hit heavy. Not because it came easy, but because it came honestly. Because it represents the strongest version of you. Because it carries every lesson, every tear, every setback that forged you into someone unstoppable. That's the marathon. Not just winning, but becoming someone deserving of the win. Someone who kept going when quitting would have been easier. Someone who bet on themselves when nobody else did. Someone who turned every failure into foundation. Someone who built their life brick by brick until the world couldn't ignore them. And if you're going through failure right now, good. It means the story ain't over. It means you're still in the fight. It means you're on the same path every winner has walked before they became who they're celebrated for today. Keep building, keep learning, keep moving. Your moment is coming, so hear me clearly. Winners don't win because they never failed. They win because they kept going after failing more times than most people could handle. That's what separates the great from the average, the marathon runner from the sprinter, the legend from the spectator. You don't need perfection, you need endurance. You don't need luck, you need resilience. And if you keep showing up, no matter how many times you fall, eventually life will open the door. Eventually the work will pay off. Eventually the world will call you a winner. But you'll know the truth. You were a winner the whole time. You just had to fail your way there.